Hi everybody, my name is Tim Gresh. I'm a professional bike fitter in Southeastern PA. This video will be on Tadej Pogačar winning a bunch of big races this season with 165 cranks and what that means overall and specifically what it means for you, the person that wants to go out and enjoy riding their bike and feel good. Now, I'd say overall the biggest take home with this is the whole discussion of losing power when you go to a shorter crank. This isn't about losing power going to a shorter crank. You don't lose power going to a shorter crank. The conversation is really about improving stability of the pelvis, and going to a shorter crank is a great way to do that. It's very individual, so I'm not going to say that everyone needs to go out today and get shorter cranks. I will say that crank length is something that is overlooked and that probably a good number of folks are going to feel better trying a shorter crank. Don't worry about losing power. So hopefully Pogačar winning at this high level on 165s, which, you know, according to a lot of people is supposed to be something that robs a lot of power. It's just not the case. And I've watched video, obviously. I watched the races, and I've looked at Pogačar riding, and he looks really good. And I remember this season in particular, the Giro d'Italia, on one of the mountain stages, I was watching him, and he looks really smooth and very stable. When I'm doing a bike fit here at my shop, that's what I'm doing day in and day out. I'm fitting people on their bikes. I'm having them ride at a fairly high intensity, and I'm watching how stable they are, how well they can hold their position when I'm putting them through the paces. And so I'm just kind of used to looking at that. And I'm looking at Pogačar, and he looks really good. And so I went back and looked at video of him in previous races, previous years, and he doesn't look as stable. There's more movement in the hips. There's also more movement in the shoulders. I'm actually going to leave 2 links in the description below of what I'm looking at, and you can go ahead and check that out and see what you think. But yeah, there's an improvement that I'm seeing in him. So bigger picture though, and what this means, I think is that hopefully the bike industry will start taking crank length more seriously and just give us more options. And one way to illustrate how poorly we are being treated by the bike manufacturers when it comes to crank length is just by looking at the size options that we have and comparing that to other things. And a gentleman named Matt Appleman, who makes really good short cranks, has a lot of good information on his website about this. I'm going to leave a link in the description below to that. He really dives into the weeds of why you might consider going to a shorter crank. One thing that I think is really interesting is he points out size options that we have for other pieces of equipment. Now, for example, frame sizes. We have options from 48 generally to 62. That's a range of about 25%. Next up, stem sizes. We usually have a 40 millimeter to a 140, pretty wide range there. It's 111%. Handlebar width is 19%. I wish that was a little bit higher. Now, working our way down to the crank length, 6%. So our primary cranks of 165 to 175 is all we're primarily being offered by major bike manufacturers, or component manufacturers, I should say, such as Shimano and also SRAM. A little note there, Shimano and SRAM have been rolling out 160, which is good, but still there needs to be a wider range. So I'm hoping that something like Pogačar winning with 165s, just showing that this is something that we need to think about a little bit more and have some more options. In a perfect world, Shimano and SRAM would have crank lengths ranging from at least 145 to 175. And that would be great. That would make my life a lot easier as a bike fitter. So there you have it, my input on Pogačar 165 cranks. Overall, it spans past just him, the person, and what he did. And I think it's more just like, we need more options and let's think outside the box. So thanks for watching, and until next time, enjoy every ride.